Hi, and welcome back to part 8 of setting up the Centre of Excellence within a Dataverse for Teams environment. So this one's going to be a bit of a recap before we move on to a next stage, if you will, the next stage being how would you continually upgrade your CoE elements. So getting back into the topic at hand, we have our dashboard. One thing to call out, and I think it's disabled by default because of the potential security implications, is that you may not see the filled map visuals within your Power BI report. If you do want to see those, if you come over to app.powerbi.com, click on the gear icon, select Admin Portal. Under the category of tenant settings, if you do a Control F, search for the word map, come down to where it says map and filled map visuals, expand and select enable. But this is the disclaimer, as I say, so make sure you're happy with what this is saying before you proceed. Essentially, for it to render those visuals, it will pass location information outside of basically the region of your tenancy. So coming back into Teams, the best way to add this visual in all its glory, as it kind of fell flat on its face when we tried to add it via a Power BI tab directly in our Centre of Excellence team, but within the Power BI app, if you just click the pin icon, choose a tab name, search for your Centre of Excellence team, select the channel, so we're just going with general, and add. And what that will do is that will give us this nice tab here that's going to give us the visual elements of those inventory components that we set up. Another key component that we've got at this stage is the admin command center. And this is basically the landing ground for many things, and also for launching the other specific Canvas apps for like access this flow, set app permissions. We saw also that we used this to set the environment variables. In, I believe it was part 6, which was optional, we mentioned about setting up the command center to surface Microsoft 365 messages. That's what's given us this here. And if you expand it, you'll also get the descriptor next to the icon. So coming back to this, it may not be obvious how you can add this tab, short of adding a Power Apps tab and having the URL. So the best way I found to do this was to click on our Power Apps app within Teams. And then when this launches, it might take a while for it to give us the full tabs. We want the build one. We won't see anything under items created built by this team because we didn't create these apps, so we have to switch it up to installed apps. And then I'm going to select the Command Center app. This is going to open it up in the editor, but essentially what we're going to do from here when it loads is similar to how we added the dashboard. We're going to use the Manage Pins feature. And when this loads, we're going to basically pin it to our Centre of Excellence team. Just give it a few moments. And then select the general tab and then say save and close. I won't do it again because you can see it says one active tab. And that takes us back to the point of in Teams where you saw the dashboard and the command center. So obviously familiarize yourself with the command center above and beyond kind of things to do and configure within your environment. It's really good, although it's not rendering properly at the moment, but you saw it kind of showed you upcoming updates and release waves and all that good stuff. So if we come back into the team, because we want to build this as kind of our center of excellence go-to area, I'm just going to flick it between the dashboard and the app and just see if this time I can get it to load correctly. Now that it's loaded, you can see we've got our messages, and that was the prereq of setting up the Azure AD, the Azure app registration with the necessary API permissions. And as I say, I would familiarize yourself with all of this, such as service health can be quite handy. It's just a one-stop shop, really. And above and beyond that, rather than having to add all of the individual apps, this is your landing zone, if you will, to jump into the various other elements. In terms of sharing any of these apps, you can kind of do set app permissions, but just to call out, because this is kind of Power Apps in a Dataverse for Teams environment, you can't necessarily do it the traditional ways, and it's kind of a different way of thinking, because normally by virtue of the Dataverse for Teams that you're building your Power Platform elements in, it's kind of bound to the members of the team, which is good from an administrative unit and standpoint. But if you do kind of need to go above and beyond that, if you click on build, if we go to install apps and then do see all, this is essentially going to take us to the view as if we'd gone to an environment and then clicked on solutions on the left. And then you can go to, I don't know, a specific table if you needed to manage permissions. And from an app perspective, again, it's a little bit of a twist, because you would be forgiven for going, I'm going to click on an app and I want to share it, but you don't have that. But whereas when you select it and take it up to the environment as a whole level, if you will, you then do get the share with colleagues option. And that's where you could define a group. Although I'm not sure about this, because I know we've got the group, Microsoft 365 group you get with the team. So you might have to be careful with mixing and matching on that. I would try and just get it to work through the group associated with the team, and then you've got that kind of collective. But anyway, once you have specified a group, you can do things like toggle on the various apps that could be made use of. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Like I say, just a short and sweet one, just to round off kind of the fruits of our labor so far. So that kind of covers off the inventory components. Next, we'll talk about how we can devise a strategy to keep on top of an upgrade center of excellence as it evolves. And then beyond that, we'll be moving on to things like setting up environment request management and some of the other elements that are within the core components. Thanks for watching.